Good morning. Let's get going straight away with 16ths today. Right, left, 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 right, left. Good morning, Mario. How you doing? Want to practice a little quieter today. Practicing some nice little tap strokes. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Darren, hello. Going a little bit more towards our tap strokes, our ghost strokes, working a little bit more on our low volume. 4 of you here already this morning. Welcome. Going to also be talking today about what I'm going to start doing from next week. I'm going to change the structure. I'm afraid I'm not going to be making these daily. I'll go more into that later on. For now, right, left, 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 right, left. Nice and gentle, nice and relaxed. We're not looking to strain ourselves here, even though we're moving straight into 16ths. Hopefully not too fast for you. Good to hear, Mario. Right, left, 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 right, left. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a right, left, 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 right. From next week, I'm going to start just doing once a week sessions on a Monday, 6 o'clock German time, 5 o'clock UK, and I will be doing more structured lessons. So although you'll only be getting me once a week, we will be doing some more focused learning in a more kind of what's the word? In a more in a way that grows better. Can't find the words. Good morning to some more people joining us. Single stroke rolls, nice and quiet. Tap strokes, right, left, 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 right. What I'm essentially going to be doing from next week is taking all of you who've learnt with me before, right back to the beginning, back to our first lesson of grooves, and we're going to spend some time working our way back through everything. From 8th note grooves, 4th note grooves, 16th note grooves, syncopated bass drums, syncopated snare drums, right, left, 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 double bass drums, the works. I'm going to put my whole teaching knowledge online, is the aim, over a course of years probably. The idea being that I want education, music education, to be freely available to all, and the best I can do there is provide my knowledge on drums. My father is also going to be adding to this idea with a piano lesson once he's got himself sorted out with his sound card and understanding how to use a computer. These things. So right, left, 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 right, left. Nice, gentle, coming up to about 45 degrees or so. So we're in our kind of middle range of volume here. We could come right down. But it's a bit too much for a warm-up. We want to still be moving enough that we're feeling a little bit of the blood flowing, getting ourselves working. Right, left, 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 right, left. Just nice and gentle. Being kind to yourself, saying, am I comfortable? Do I need to adjust my position? Am I sat straight? Playing from the wrists, nice relaxed grip. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. A lot of people forget that on drums we're allowed to play quietly as well. And having the ability to move from quiet to loud and back again is very important. Dynamic playing is what gives drummers the edge. We're going to come into a little groove later on and talk about that a little bit more. But for now, just sticking a little bit longer with our single stroke rolls. Right, left, 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 right, left. The lessons I'm going to start next week will require perhaps a drum kit. They're going to be a little bit more aimed at drummers rather than people without any kit at home. But I am going to continue doing some rudimental lessons as well, perhaps pre-recorded sessions on the rudimental ritual as a weekly thing as well. Once something I've wanted to do as well for a long time. And these live sessions that you've all been joining with me, have given me the impetus. So thank you for continuing to support. But I think now that the kids are back at school from next week, the Easter holidays will be over, and they've got their online lessons. They're all too busy, most of my younger students, to join in on a regular basis, Monday to Friday in the daytime. So I wanted to do something in the evening. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. As well as providing a course for people who have never played before, people who are just starting. So it'll still be kind of play along. It'll still follow a similar kind of structure to this, a little warm up, and then going into some grooves then. And just covering everything, covering all the bases. So in a second, let's move to our double strokes. Let's move down to an 8th note rate for these. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and still staying nice and quiet. Right, right, left, left, right, left, left, right, 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 right, left, left. Double stroke rolls, 8th note rate, nice and gentle at 80 BPM. Right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left. Trying to let the stick swing back to the same start point between each stroke. So we've got 2 nice even strokes. Right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, left, left, right, right, left, left. Lovely stuff. Just relaxing into that nice straight back, making a meditation of it. Right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left. So next week may be the inspiration for those of you who haven't been out and bought your electric kit yet. Mario, Tal, Simona, a few of you guys still need to do that. Want to do that, I believe. I'm not trying to force you to spend your money. Right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left. But for the first few weeks, I'm sure you can still join in practicing on pad or pillow. Right, right, left, left, 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 right, right, left, left. The idea, of course, will also be the same, that we're following a structured practice pattern. Rather than when you sit in a lesson with me and we go through things, you play it, I tell you whether it was right or wrong. In these sessions, we will be playing along together still. So you can hear whether you're locking in with what I'm doing. Sometimes hear the things you were doing wrong, if you're having trouble reading the sheets after the lesson, that sort of thing. Recapping for those of you who learned that stuff ages ago and have perhaps forgotten some of it. Dropped out of your long-term memory. Right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, 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 right, right, left, left. Finding your posture nice and relaxed, leaning back a little bit. Right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left. And in a second, let's move up to a 16th note rate. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and. You might find yourself wanting to adjust your grip, making sure you're still nice and loose. This speed we need to control the stick a little bit more. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left. Should still just be coming from the wrists. Right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and. Hopefully all of you have got mirrors set up by now. You can watch yourself, check you've got that little bit of air between the elbows and ribs. Right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left. The 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a starting to relax into this now, getting comfortable. Make sure your volume isn't creeping up. We want to still keep these nice middle volume. Mezzo forte. Right, right, left, left, 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 right, right, left, left. Hope you've all got sunshine wherever you are. We got a little bit blue sky. Left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right. Woken at 7:30 this morning by the builders continuing their building work. Some kind of power tools. 7:30, really. I mean, I don't mind waking up that time, but I don't want to be woken up by power tools. Right, right, left, left, 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 right, right. Nice and even, he says. Right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, 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 left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, 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 left, left, right, right. And in a second, we're going to move back to our 8th note and to paradiddle. Maybe 30 seconds. When we're doing this, we want to be striking right in the middle of the drum, right in the center. If I play on the edge, you notice I get a very different sound. So even if you're on practice pad or an electric kit that doesn't give you the position sensing, it's still important to be nice and in the center, imagining you're on an acoustic kit. So 3 and 4 and paradiddle, 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 right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, left. Hey Jenny, you made it. Welcome. Right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. Well done for getting out of bed. Left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. Don't worry, next week there'll be evening sessions, so you don't need to worry about getting out of bed. Left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. I apologise for the shadows I have behind me. I'd love to have a better lighting system, but I can't afford it at the moment. I've been spending too much money already while I'm locked down. Right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. Checking that we're nice and comfortable on our seat. Bum towards the back of the seat, so we can really leave our weight on our bum. If we're at the kit, we can be walking with the feet well. So, bass, hi-hat, bass, hi-hat, bass, hi-hat, bass, hi-hat. If, of course, you're not, you can still be tapping the feet. Right, right, left, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, left. Common problem I see with people is wanting their snare drum too close to them. Talking earlier, as I was, about wanting to play right in the center of the drum. That shouldn't make us move ourselves back. The center of the drum should be where we can comfortably be, so our elbows are in line with our body. Right, left, left, 90-degree angle at the elbow. Right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. We basically just want to use our body properly. Doesn't sound like rocket science. It's kind of harder than it sounds though, because we pick up bad habits from day one. Right, right, left, right, left, left. When all we're concentrating on is just playing the damn thing. Right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. Let's see if we can move these up to 16th notes. Now with a little accent on the first one. each 4 on the quarter note. Right, 3 and 4 and paradiddle, 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 paradiddle. Right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. Paradiddle, 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 right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, left. Paradiddle, 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 right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left. Hopefully that's okay for you guys at that speed. 80 BPM, 16th note rate, paradiddles, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. See how quiet you can get those in between notes, the ghost strokes. Always good to practice extremes, right? So when we're playing and we're perhaps concentrating on other things, listening to the music around us, concentrating on performing, whatever it might be, less focused on our volumes, on our dynamics, we will still have that difference in there, programmed into our muscles. Quite enjoying myself here. I want to move forward, but I'm enjoying the paradiddle too much. Right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. Give it another 30 seconds. Right, left, right, right, left, right, left. Hopefully you guys are starting to fall in sync with this. If you were struggling at the start of this speed, hopefully you weren't struggling at the start. Another 15 seconds, then we're going to take a little pause while I explain the next exercise. 1, 2, 3, 4. Lovely stuff. Excuse me. Probably need some coffee at this point. Always good to have more coffee, I think. Some of you may remember, some of you may have been there. I used to teach above a coffee shop, Matt's Coffee Shop. Those were the days. I drank so much coffee. It was ridiculous. I was younger then and I could get away with drinking more coffee. Now, 2 cups a day. That's my limit. If anyone's interested, not part of the lesson, just telling you. So I wanted to look at some groupings of 3 today. So not triplets. 3 with one hand. This is coming from the wonderful, which we've looked at in a previous lesson, Stick Control for Snare Drummers by George Lawrence Stone. George Lawrence Stone was a drummer in the, I could have researched this beforehand. He died in 1917, so in the late 1800s. He was a snare drummer before the drum kits even existed. Marching band drummer, and he created this wonderful book which is still used by drummers the world over to this day. Really, really great book, and it's just tons of exercises combining rights and lefts. As you go into it, it's got some flams, some rolls, some other bits and pieces, some other techniques in there, but essentially it's just all hand-to-hand stuff, which is super nice. We like this. So previously we did some of the different paradiddle inversions. where we take the paradiddle, turn it on its head, then twist it around a bit more and twist it around one more time again to get the 4 different inversions, the 4 different start points of a paradiddle. Today, we're going to look to, still on page 1, exercises 9 through to probably 13, and do some groups of 3. So the first exercise, let's get a metronome on 60 for this. The first exercise, very simple, 3 rights and a left. Going to sound like this. Right, 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 left, 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 right, right, left, right, 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 left. I'm coming back now to my 90-degree position, wishing I'd moved my microphone a little bit. Right, 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 left, right, 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 left, right, 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 left, right, 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 left, right, 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 left. George Lawrence Stone recommended a number of things, right, 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 left, while doing these exercises. I'm not going to tell you about all of them, but one thing was that he recommended the orchestral drummer, who would traditionally play with a lot of dynamic, a lot of quiet stuff, trying not to tread on the toes of the rest of the orchestra, recommended the orchestral drummer would practice nice and loud, nice full strokes, and recommended the military drummer would play, or the rudimental drummer, would play nice and quietly, would practice nice and quietly. So, just like at the start of today's lesson, we started nice and quietly. It's important to remember that we have to practice these both ways, loud and quiet. Right, left. But while we're getting the hang of it, let's do nice 90-degree full strokes. Right, 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 left, right, 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 left, right, 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 left, right, 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 left, right, 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 left. In a second, we will move this to the same thing, but with the left hand leading. So 3 lefts and 1 right hand. Right, right, right. Let's just stick on this for a little bit longer. Right, 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 left if we can. Right, left, right, 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 left, right, 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 left, right, 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 left, right, 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 left, right, right, left, right, 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 left, right, right, right. And then let's see if we can turn this around. Left, 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 right, left, 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 right, left, 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 right, left, 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 right, left, 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 right. I can't talk about coffee anymore. I have to concentrate. Left, 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 right, 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 left, 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 right. Letting those sticks come back up nicely into the hand. Left, 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 right, left, 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 right, left, left, left. Just cradling the stick like a very small, thin newborn baby. Left, left, right, left, 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 right. That's not how you cradle a baby. Right, left, 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 right. But it is how loosely we should be gripping the stick. Right, left, 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 right, left, left. Loosely enough that we can keep control of the stick, not let it fall out of our hands, but no tighter. We don't want to hurt it. Wood is a very precious material. We don't want to cause any pain to the spirit of the tree trapped within. Well, that's a bit scary. Left, 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 right. Left, 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 right. Left, left, left. But perhaps true. Left, 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 right. 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 So these groups of 3, left, 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 right, are really nice because we spend a lot of time practicing our 2s. As I've mentioned in previous lessons, not so much time perhaps in rudiments practicing 3s. The flam tap being a good one to practice the groups of 3 with each hand, overlapping each other. And exercises like this, as well as ride line exercises, which we will look at in the future, good for the groups of 3. But we do use these a lot. Ooh, left, 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 right, left, 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 right, left, 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 right, left, 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 right. At this speed, not rocket science, not super difficult. But of course, getting these up to, for example, 16th note speed at 80 BPM is going to be a little bit trickier for you. Left, 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 right, left, 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 right. They will help us with tons of things, as well as fitting into ride lines, nice patterns like that. You can also use these to play beautiful 6-stroke rolls. They kind of fit into the 6-stroke roll. And in a second, we're going to take this same pattern and invert it. So it starts with the single right hand and then 3 lefts. Left, left, left. Let's take that now. 3, 4, right, left, 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 right, left, left, left. Still checking our posture. Right, left, 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 right, left, left, left. We still got that little bit of air in between the elbows and ribs. Right, left, 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 right, left, 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 right, left, 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 right, left, left, left. Nice relaxed arms, just playing from the wrist here. It's a slight twist of the forearm, but no up-down movement. Right, left, left, right, left, 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 right, left, 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 or not very much. Left, left, right, left, 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 right. And let's turn that around now to a left, right, right, right. Left, left, left. 3, 4, left, right, 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 left, right, right, left, right, 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 left, right, right, right. Checking where you're striking the drum and that you're playing the correct thing. Right, right, left, right, 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 left, right, 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 left, right, 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 left, right, right, right. There's a lot of value to doing these exercises, not just for being a good drummer, not for just for becoming better on the drums. Left, right, 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 left, right, right, right. There is a lot of evidence to suggest playing a musical instrument where you coordinate both sides of the body will help stave off Alzheimer's. So you're protecting your brain for years to come by doing this stuff daily. It's the best brain workout. We're combining coordination, the language parts of our brain, and the listening, the auditory cortex, and all sorts of things. Timekeeping is the amygdala. So we're really doing one of the best workouts we can for the brain. They sell all these brain training apps on the App Store and whatever. But really, if you do this, you're doing one of the best workouts you can for the brain. Or indeed playing guitar or playing piano. Anything like that coordinates left and right hand side of the body and involves all of those other musical parts of our brain. Really, really good. Right, 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 left, right, 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 left, right, 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 left, right, right. I think they say coffee's good for the brain as well. Some days you read a study saying coffee's not so good. Other days you read that it is good for you. So who knows? Right, right, left. And let's just finish this off now with a group of 4 in each hand. Right, 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 left, 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 Lovely stuff. Very, very nice. Why do we want these groups of 3? Because we want to be able to do that. Really, really nice stuff. Also, it fits in if you fill in the gaps. 1, 2, 3. Da, 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 fill in with the left hand. Super, super. Oh, that's an exercise we did before and I meant to come back to. Super, super nice. So I wanted to have a little bit of a look at grooving, thinking about our ghost strokes a little bit. So this is something I've been doing with a few people recently. Again, it involves coming back to stuff we probably learned a little while ago. But before that, I want to talk about Bernard Purdie. Bernard Purdie is a phenomenal, phenomenal drummer. Really, really great. So famous is he and phenomenal is he that he has a groove named after him, the Purdie Shuffle. And there's not many drummers that get to have a beat named after them for its originality and beauty. So, I mean, that says it all, really. Bernard Purdie is an incredibly charismatic guy. If you watch some of his YouTube videos, he's just always playing away, shouting over the top with great joy. Just a really kind of wonderful, bubbly, loud, fantastic character. I'd really recommend checking him out. He's always making all these sounds. Hey, whoa, look at me, whoa, and then we just do that. And this is just super, super cool. It really gets you kind of inspired to want to jump on the drums. And he plays wonderful, wonderful ghost strokes. Really beautiful, beautiful ghost strokes on the snare when he's playing stuff. Bernard Purdie Shuffle. And I mean, that's a pretty poor example of it, but check him out playing that. There's tons of him on YouTube. When he's teaching that groove on a particular YouTube video you can find, then he's just messing around. So he claims one day with a beat, and he came up with kind of the basis of that. And he's showing you the basis of that. So he's and suddenly he starts putting these offbeat little ghost strokes in there. And he doesn't kind of explain them. He just goes, hey, don't worry about them ghost strokes. They ain't nothing but rebound. It's like the idea that it's just the stick just happening to bounce, you know, which is super, super nice. A nice way of thinking of it, because those notes that we're not playing are always there. They always exist, be they the offbeat triplet, as they are in that case, or the offbeat 16th note if we're playing an 8th note groove. Those 16ths are still there. We're just choosing not to highlight them at that moment. But of course, we can always, with a little ghost stroke, not highlight them so much as just keep the feel of them, keep the movement of them, which funk music, for example, does very, very well. And that kind of, from that funk, that James Brown and stuff like that, came into all the popular music that we listen to today, because those beats were so heavily sampled and reused and rehashed and whatever else. So, yeah, I'd really recommend checking out Bernard Purdie. I was super lucky. I got to see him with a trio at the Jazz Cafe in London about 10 years ago now or something. And I think he's still touring to this day, although not at the moment because of the current crisis. So definitely worth keeping your ear to the ground for if he happens to be in your neighborhood in 18 months' time as well, because he's just a phenomenal player and a phenomenal character as well. One of those a real showman, which we don't have so much of today, perhaps. So, yeah, definitely check him out. So on that note, I want to come back to a very, very classic groove. Some of you, Jenny, for example, we've been looking at this last weeks in our lessons. But the number of people who aren't playing this correctly and don't kind of twig that they're not playing it correctly is ridiculous. So I just wanted to go into this. So let's look at the basic beat first. Let's change that bass drum. There we go. This beat, we were looking at on Friday, this bass drum and snare drum pattern on the backbeat. It's the same thing, but with some little syncopated snares. But what a lot of people do when they first learn it, everything at one volume. Sounds quite cool. kind of got a hip-hoppy vibe to it. It's quite cool like that. But we need to learn to control it as well. And if you listen to so much music, this is in there. And always it's with these lovely little whispered ghost notes. So let's get the metronome on. And just before I press go on that, let's just remind ourselves of this beat. Right. 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and helps if I put the bass drum in the right place. There we go. 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and. Some of you have learnt this before. There's one of you I know definitely who hasn't. This will come up in future weeks, Mario, don't worry. But if you can figure this out, I don't want to go into too much detail. If you can figure that out for yourself, wonderful, well done. You're a better man than most. So let's get this metronome on and let's just play with it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and good work. 2 and 3 and 4. Is this too fast? Someone tell me if it's too fast. Don't be embarrassed and I'll slow it down. Because maybe if it is too fast, you're just saying what everyone else is thinking. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. We're at 80 BPM again. Always a good tempo to be aiming for when you're starting with stuff. Once you've learned the basics. Good stuff. So notice when I'm playing this, because I have this lovely Roland top of the range snare drum that has positional sensing, so it's much more akin to a real snare. I'm moving to the outer edge because it gives us this lovely soft sound. So on your practice pad or on your electric kit at home, you may not have that. But still good to kind of think about that, have that movement in your mind to move to the edge. Little group of 3 there we were talking about earlier. Don't let that confuse you. I still want those lovely quiet snares. But you're welcome to put that in if the snares are no problem for you. Don't lie to yourself, though. It's only you listening to yourself. You're not cheating anyone else. This beat fits anywhere. It's just such a great classic groove. If we bring the hi-hat up a little bit, playing the tip of the stick on the body of the hi-hat, get that nice bouncy funk. Try bringing that hi-hat right down. Don't let that affect your kick and snare pattern. We can, of course, play a little accent on the quarter note. All of these things are the reason we want to practice these things for days, weeks, hours per day, multiple hours per week. The only way we can get inside them is by just sitting with them, giving ourselves enough time to get into the mode, get inside them. I've been saying recently what we need to do is go to the point of boredom, play something until you're bored, and then just push yourself past that. Just past that point of boredom is where you find the new exciting things. If you get bored and you stop, you waste all of the practice that you've just been doing. the last 3 minutes. But if you move it to that 6-minute mark or whatever, just a minute or 3 past the boredom threshold, you start to have to search for new exciting moments within the groove. The idea is that exciting moment doesn't come from adding something else. It comes from just changing the way you're playing what you are playing to make it maybe sound better or just sound different, because of course different will take us out of the moment of boredom we've had. A little 3-stroke rough at the end never goes amiss. Works everywhere. Open hi-hat at the end always works well. These are discoveries you have to make. You can't learn everything in 1 hour a week from a teacher. They can only point you in the right direction. You've got to do the hard work. And that's the bit that kind of sucks. Because often we'd rather not do hard work. We're humans, we're lazy by nature, a lot of us. So now, because we've been sitting on this for a while, I've fallen into my quarter note accent. Just so nice, gives it that driving feel. But getting the coordination together for that, you've got to slow it down. You've got to think, I want to work on this. And first of all, work with a simpler groove just to get the hi-hat going. And then see what you have to do to disassociate the arms and the feet so that they can all work independently from each other. We could go to our offbeat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 3 and 4. Gonna get that ska offbeat feel going. Super nice. But if you haven't done the work with this, then you're not going to get the hang of that. I love those little roughs. Let's mess around with it in a different way. Let's start to swing it a little bit of a shuffle. Can you feel the difference there? So now those little offbeats are coming a little bit later. Technically, moved on to the last beat of the triplet. Back to straight, he says. There we are. And 2 and a 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and a 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and back to the shuffle. Just kind of falls over itself. If you put those groups of 3 then into the shuffle, it gets a little skip. Rather than da-da-da, we get whoa, little rim shot. Don't like playing that, I worry about my neighbours. Unfortunately, even electric drums are loud. We can move this to 16ths. we still want to bring out those volumes. So I'm still shuffling this. There we go. So, however you're playing this, there's no excuse for not focusing on the details. You've got to keep those offbeats nice and quiet. We could then choose to mess around a little bit. So whatever we want to do within that, we can do it. We can start to then mess around, change the volumes of some of them. We've got loud, medium, quiet, flipping back and forth between them. There's so much fun to be had with that stuff. So really, really, again, this idea of sitting on a groove for slightly longer than you may have done before, and going deep inside it, and then finding songs that have that going on in it and trying and playing along. Doesn't matter if you don't hit all of the different fills, all the different moments in the song. Just play the groove through the song. Just get comfortable with that groove through the song. Let's just think about this little 3-stroke rough, because it's such a lovely trick. Is that left, left, right? Left, left, right. Left, left, right. We looked at this, I think on the very first day, one of the first days I was doing these sessions. Left, left, right. Left, left, right. Left, left, right. We can use this a number of ways in our groove. We could play it in the open interpretation, which ends up being a nice triplet. Boom, ba, cut, dum, ba, dum. Which is quite cool. As we get more confident with that, and just with the 3-stroke rough, as we get it faster, we can play it more as this little purr, where we just catch it at the last moment. Lovely. Leads into a fill super nicely, even just into 4/16. Boom. Ba, ga, ga, da, 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 boom. Ba, ga, ga, dum, ba, boom, boom, ba, ga, ga, dum, da, 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 da. Super, super nice. Super, super useful little trick. Left, left, right. Left, left, right. If we wanted to use the other way, the right, right, left little 3-stroke rough, just because I'm thinking about it, we could bring the right hand down, where it would be playing the and after the last snare. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, da 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 dum, and play a lovely little triplet there. Da da dum, ba da 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 dum, ba ga ga dum, ba da ga da dum, ga ga dum, ba da ga da dum. There's a Justin Timberlake tune this puts me in mind of. And it's not actually how the beat goes, but it's how I heard the beat the first time I heard it. I heard the beat wrong, and I came up with quite a cool thing from it. What's the song? I might remember it as I'm playing. That one that goes, give me a chance to be a man. Ooh. So that's super nice. And again, it's that same beat idea with a few syncopated bass drums, which you can add in if you know them already. And we will come back to in the future. So, super, super fun. So I hope you have enjoyed that, learnt lots, got deeper inside that groove than you ever have before. Don't think that because today you learned it, you know it. You've got to come back to it tomorrow, Friday. I don't know what day. Yes, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You've got to keep on doing this. You have to keep coming back to this. After a while, it is stored in your medium-term memory. So you go from the short term, where you need to practice it every day, to the kind of mid-term memory, where you can maybe look at it a couple of times a week, then gradually to the long-term memory, where once a month, every 2 months, 3 months will be enough. But by the time it's in your long-term memory, you should just be jamming on it and playing it in songs and whatever anyway. So it's not even like you're going to ever do that, because it's just so useful. It's used in so much music. Such a great, great groove. So if you want to, you can start to add in syncopated bass drums, extra hi-hats, open hi-hats, anything you want to on top of that, little double snares, blah, blah, blah. But do the groundwork first. Make sure you're building it on a solid basis, solid foundation. So yeah, like I was saying at the start of this lesson, from next week, I'm going to start doing this on a Monday evening, 5 p.m. UK, 6 p.m. German time, and just once a week. Maybe I'll do some other random practice sessions as well. Who knows? But I think then we can do something that's a little bit more structured to kind of recover all of the ground and get all of our foundations built that perhaps we've forgotten about or think we learned 2 years ago. And yeah, it's just gone wherever it's gone, into some strange small part of the brain that you never access. So I will be back tomorrow. I will be back on Friday, 10 a.m. UK, 11 a.m. German time. So hopefully I will see you for these 2 last little ones like this. And then I hope you'll join me on Monday as well for some evening sessions. Have a lovely day, guys. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you next time. Cheers.